Hi, I'm Lori Grace from the Institute for American Democracy and Election Integrity, and I'm here together with Richard Tamm and Michel Gabriel, who have been both poll observers and poll workers and election observers, and they're going to help you know how to begin to observe and understand your elections.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and I want to thank you for your interest in observing the voting process. I'm also going to encourage everybody to, at some point in your life, be a poll worker and experience democracy on the ground exactly as it happens. So for observing, there's a few rules that we ask for you to do wherever you're observing in the process, and at any time, be polite. Don't be nasty to anybody. Be very nice to everyone.
And dress well. We suggest you dress like a lawyer. Dress professionally. Really.
Do not wear any electioneering badges, signs of any kind. No matter how deeply you feel about an issue, you're not there to promote that issue. You're there to observe what's happening in a totally nonpartisan, disinterested, unbiased way. So the goal of observing right now, what we're talking about, is to determine if there's any need for a recount and to target where those recounts are. So that's what we're looking for. And so let's explain the election process and many of the areas where you may possibly actually observe. So on election day, all eyes are on the polls, and there's a lot to look at right then, but there's actually 29 days after the election where the vote is actually counted, and there's many, many stages of the voting that you can observe during those 29 days, and they're very crucial to determining whether a recount might be necessary in a certain area. Richard?
On election day itself, the poll workers arrive at polling places at 6 in the morning, and they work a very long day. They don't get through till the polls close around 8. It takes them usually an hour and a half, as much as 2 hours to actually gather up everything to be able to totally close the poll. And they have varying levels of knowledge, training, and expertise, and you may observe at the polls, but you need to be quiet, polite, and do not get in their way. Do not interfere with any voter attempting to vote. You can also observe after the polls close, but again, you need to stay out of their way because it's a very hectic, very difficult time to totally close the polls. And at the end of the day, when they close the polls and are through with everything, they should hang a copy of the poll tape outside the polling place. You can go there and see what the vote totals are on that polling tape and actually video it or take pictures of it, and there's a whole process called Video the Vote that Lori has put together, and we'll have a link to that at the bottom.
Now, if you're going to be observing at a poll that has either touchscreen or what's called a DRE, direct recording electronic device, you're going to need some special instructions about what to look for, and there'll be a link to that underneath this video for what to do. But all but 2 counties in California are actually scanned paper ballots. And Lori, which were the 2 that use direct electronic devices?
Orange County uses paperless voting machines, and so does San Mateo, very significantly. And there are a minor amount of paperless voting machines in other counties because those are offered to disabled voters if they choose that.
So the next part we're going to talk about is the polls are closed. What happens now? So the ballots have to make it from the precinct to the central tabulator where they're actually counted. And following those ballots along their trail is called the chain of custody. The first thing is that the poll workers take them to an interim collection point, and there'll be multiple of these in every county. And then from that collection point, they're aggregated, and then they're taken to the central counting spot, which is usually the Registrar of Voters' office. So you can watch along the way of that process, and part of that is just to make sure all the votes get where they're supposed to go and nothing else happens along their way. This probably could start at the earliest, around 8:30 at night. It might go as long as 11:30 or later. So if you're going to observe this area, be prepared. It could be a very long evening for you to do this.
Well, you could just watch part of it, like at the central collection site, and you should be able to observe there and video it even, I think.
Yes. So if you're interested in this part, you should contact, or any of these parts, contact your county coordinator so you can get a specific assignment of where to go look. Once it gets to the central facility, the memory cards are all taken and added up, and they're put into a central tabulator. There's a small observation area for this, and you can observe, but typically you'll need some kind of special election official clearance to do this. If you're interested in this kind of observing, once again, ask your county coordinator to get you the proper clearances and badges to do this. It's a very exciting place to be on election night, so if you get the opportunity, I highly recommend it. When you're in there, you'll be watching the voting tabulation. You should note if there's any odd things that happen. Richard, you want to talk about some things like that?
Right. Yeah, it's possible that the tabulator could stop for some reason, or there you may see a sudden huddle of a number of the people who work there for some reason, or you may notice numbers either stop being added or actually go in reverse for some reason. You should note down any of these anomalies, the times, the people involved if possible, and we'll have links at the bottom for who to contact with this information.
So what people think of elections, they always think about voting and polling places and all this excitement, but in California, over 50% of the votes are vote by mail. And those votes start getting mailed in quite early, and when they get to the registrar of voters, number one thing they do is check the signature. It's called signature verification. This goes on from when the ballots come in to at election day. Many ballots are actually delivered to the polling place. So for many days afterwards, after the election, they will continue to be doing signature verification. This is a great thing to observe because you can watch if they're tossing out ballots and why are they tossing out those ballots. So it's an interesting place to observe, and there's quite a number of time to do that. The other thing is that once the ballot has been approved, they slice open the envelope and they take out the ballots, they stack them up and they put them in a high-speed scanner, and some of those might get kicked out of the scanner. The registrar of voters will look at those and say, oh, well, there's just a stray mark and we know what the ballot really is, but it won't go through the machine. Then they rewrite the ballot. So it might be shocking at first to hear, oh my goodness, there are thousands of ballots being rewritten, but there is a purpose to it. You can monitor this and observe it to make sure that the rewriting is being done accurately. So to monitor that. So the final area that you can observe that's really the most crucial part for determining whether there should be a recount is called the 1% audit. And that's where some of the ballots are actually taken and the handwritten ballot is compared to the electronic tally. And there's lots of different things that are very interesting to watch in this process and have to be done very carefully. But if there is a discrepancy between what was written on the ballot and what's on the machine, this is a red flag that there's some issue that really needs to get looked at. So if you want to volunteer to observe in this area, it's very important. It does take some time, and talk to your coordinator once again to find out what to look for and when that will be taking place. Every county does it at a different time, depending on how far along they are on counting the vote. Well, that about wraps up the voting process. Is there anything anyone would like to add?
There will be links at the bottom of this for more details on all these different areas.
And also there'll be a short video on videoing the vote, and then a few videos from Bev Harris's website.
So go out there and experience some real democracy.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.